9 a.m. This is still 3 FM Sunrise on 3 FM at 92.7. We're changing gears right about now, getting into our big conversation. I've got in studio with me this morning lawyer Edudzi Tamekloe, Director of Legal for the NDC. I've also got Mr. Ebo Buckman, Senior Communicator, Movement for Change, and Alanite. And also on the phone line, Ephrame Tetteh Adamtey. He's a lawyer for some arrested anti-Galamsey demonstrators. Let's kick things off with Noah. And Noah, good morning to you. Thank you so much for your patience this morning, and thank you for joining us on the program.
Hello, good morning to you and your listeners, and thank you for having me.
Fantastic. And you are the lawyer for some of the arrested anti-Galamsey demonstrators. Is that right? How many persons are you representing?
Okay, so I'm one of the coordinators for a group of volunteers called the Lawyers for Protest Defense. So we have about 80 lawyers currently, and what we do is provide legal services and support for persons who are arrested whilst exercising their right to free speech or their right to protest. So currently, we as a collective body, we are representing majority of the 53 persons who have been arrested and being prosecuted in line with the Democracy Hub demonstration that took place somewhere last week. So that is basically what we do. I am just one of the coordinators of the group.
Okay, so you are one of the coordinators. Now, in terms of the legal arguments that are being made on behalf of some of these demonstrators, protesters, what exactly is the legal arguments that are being made on their behalf? If you can give us some insights into that.
Okay, so the whole situation, I think, can be bifurcated into two parts. There is the first part, which deals with the substance of what occurred during the protest and whether the conduct of the protesters were illegal or whether they were legal. So that deals with the unlawfulness of what occurred during the protest. And then there is another aspect that deals with the due process requirements that are laid down by law, the Constitution, and then various other statutes, and the police service own orders concerning how police officers should act. The due process requirements, such as the right to counsel, the right to personal dignity, being informed of the reason of your arrest and the charges leveled against you before you are even arraigned, and you being arraigned within 48 hours after being arrested. So there are two aspects of what the legal arguments actually deal with. Now, let me start with the second part.
Sure.
Most of which is the due process argument, most of these protesters were arrested on Sunday. That was the second day of the protest.
That's right.
Now, at the time of their arrest, they were to be informed of the reason for their arrest, and they had to be taken to the police station. This is what our Constitution says.
Right.
They had to be taken to the police station also immediately. Now, they have to be informed of their right to counsel of their choice, even before any statement is taken from them. And also, when charges are leveled against them, these charges must be read over to them in a language they understand,
right,
and explained to them. And they have to be brought before court within 48 hours. Now, another important thing is that our Constitution guarantees their innocence until their guilt is established by a court of competent jurisdiction. So the police and all the state apparatus must ensure that they comply with these requirements when these accused are arrested and are in the custody of the police. Now, from Sunday, when the first batch of protesters were arrested, the lawyers for protest defense, immediately we got notice of that, went to the regional police headquarters to see them and to provide legal services for them.
Right.
Now, at that time, when we got there, the main entrance to the regional headquarters was locked with armed police officers standing at the gate. We got there with myself, part of the team, and explained to them that we are lawyers and we represent the persons arrested and we are here to see them and to see the police also. We were informed that an order from above states emphatically that no person, including lawyers, should be allowed to have any access to the persons arrested.
Is that constitutional?
Absolutely unconstitutional. Absolutely unconstitutional. But that was what the police told us. Now, we also have a team that provides food and others to the people who have been arrested. And so this team also came along with the lawyers to provide food.
Right.
They were also denied and were informed that no one is to have access to these people. Now, we need to remember the majority of those who were arrested on Sunday were arrested in the afternoon. Now, most of them were sent, all of them were sent to the regional headquarters, but they were sent to the various holding cells later in the evening. Some of them as late as 11 p.m. They were now being moved around. I myself was driving, following the police vans that were sending them to the various holding stations so that I can know the stations that they were being sent.
I understand some lawyers had to, in fact, mount motorcycles just to keep up with the pace of the police and find exactly where some of these protesters were being detained. Is that true?
Exactly. Because the police weren't forthcoming with any information. They were not telling us where they were sending them. So we had to be tracing the van to see at the police stations where they would be taken to. So the first night, we were not allowed to see them as lawyers. People were not also allowed to bring them food. Now, the same thing happened the second day.
That's on the Monday, day 3 of the protest.
That was the Monday.
Right.
Yes. Those who were arrested, they also were denied their access to lawyers and to families who wanted to bring them food. And we should also bear in mind that most of the protesters who were arrested, although are young people, some of them live alone. Majority of them live alone. And so most of them have not informed their parents they were going for a protest. Some are married, and their wives were still looking for them. So their families did not know they had been arrested. And these people were kept by the police in their custody until Tuesday when the first batch of persons were arraigned. And at the time of their arraignment, majority of them had not eaten. I had been to some police stations where, because of the good that the police officers there did for us, I don't want to put the station's name out there now.
Right.
But the officer in charge told me personally that she used her own money to buy food for them, meaning the state wasn't providing food for these people while they were being kept for the 3 days.
But according to police reports, some juicy chicken, fried rice, coleslaw was provided to these detainees to enjoy. They had chicken, grilled, fried, assorted.
And that is blatant falsehood. And I'll come to that point very shortly.
Sure.
So they were kept without being given any food. Now, there was one person called Benjamin Ekufodakun. Now, Benjamin is one of the people who is charged with logistics. So he goes around to buy food and all of that for the persons who have been arrested. Now, we need to remember that at this point, the lawyers had been able to trace where these protesters, some of them were. We did not have the full list. So on Monday, we had written to the IGP asking the police to provide us a list of all persons who had been arrested, where they were being detained, the charges that the state is leveling against them. Until now, we have not received any response from the police or the IGP. And at that time, we did not know the number of persons that were actually arrested. We did not know. So we had been able to trace only about 15 people. Later on that Tuesday, the police spoke in their own communique and said 42 people had been arrested. And we came out vociferously to deny that we believe the number exceeded that. Later, the police came out to say the number is 52.
Right.
And we still deny that. because we believe some people were arrested in the raid that the police is not able to trace and account for. But beyond that, the guy I mentioned, Benjamin was the one going around to the various police stations to give them food. And he's the only person who supplied about 15 or 13 of the people that we had traced some form of good food. That was the papaya. That the police blatantly put out a falsehood that they bought papaya for the people. They knew they didn't buy it. And that was the guy that bought the papaya for the guys. Now, Benjamin went to visit Oliver Bakavomao when Oliver was on admission at the police hospital.
Right.
And the police arrested Benjamin. So as I speak to you, Benjamin is also in custody.
What are his charges? What was he arrested for?
Benjamin was charged with unlawful assembly, assaulting a police officer, basically all the charges that the other persons have been charged with.
He was picked up at the police hospital and charged with these offenses at the police hospital.
Exactly. And Benjamin was never at the police, at the protest grounds. For the 3 days, Benjamin was never there. And the interesting thing is this. When Benjamin was arraigned before court, his lawyers informed the court that Benjamin was picked up the night before. Benjamin had not been allowed to see his lawyers. And so for his lawyers to appear before the court on his behalf, first, the court should grant them 30 minutes to conference with him. The court denied it. At the time Benjamin was arraigned, he had not been informed of the charges leveled against him. He did not have access to the charge sheet, neither did his lawyers. So Benjamin was arraigned before the court at the time that he had no idea of the charges that would be leveled against him. It was only after his arraignment and his remand to custody that the state attorney representing the state provided Benjamin a copy of the charge sheet. Now, beyond that, when Benjamin's lawyers moved the court for bail, they told the court that one of the main requirements for granting bail in our country is that the accused person will appear to stand trial. And to prove that, you must also establish that the accused person has a fixed place of abode in the country. At the time Benjamin was arraigned, because his lawyers had not had conference with him, they could not provide particulars of where Benjamin is being kept. So his lawyers requested the court to allow them get the particulars from Benjamin. The court denied. And guess what? When the state took their turn to address the court on why Benjamin should not be granted bail, they told the court that Benjamin had failed to demonstrate to the court his fixed place of abode in the country. Now, this clearly shows the kind of trial that Benjamin and the other protesters are being taken through. A clear violation of their rights from the moment they were arrested to the moment the day they were arraigned in court. And subsequently, all that has happened. As I'm speaking to you, lawyers are still finding it difficult to find the protesters and to even have engagements with them.
I see. On day 8, you say lawyers still cannot find their clients.
Oh, yes. And a tactic deployed by the police is that when they bring the accused persons to court, because at that point, lawyers will see them and will speak to them, and so we can compile a list of where they are being kept. When they are taking them from court, they take them to different police stations than they were. And the police officers at the various police stations have been informed that when people come to visit them, especially with the lawyers, we should be able to mention the name of the accused person being kept there. So if before court on Tuesday, someone like Felicity Nelson was being kept at Railways, when Felicity was arraigned and court ended on Wednesday, Felicity was not taken to Railways again. Felicity was moved to cantonments. So if the lawyers go to Railways to see Felicity, because we got that information when we met her in court, we will go to Railways and see that Felicity is not there. So now we have to start our work all over again, combing the various police stations, trying to find Felicity. Then we will luckily end up day 2 or day 3 after the day she was arraigned to find out Felicity is at cantonments. We go to cantonments, and it's another difficult situation there where lawyers are not allowed to see their clients. And I'm sure you have followed the news. The Attorney General's Department have come out to state emphatically that they failed to meet the 48 hours within which they must present some accused persons to the court. And we should ask ourselves, how did that happen? The Attorney General's office is saying that it was due to some documentation issues. Now, two arguments need to be looked at from this set of facts. One is that the state cannot use its own administrative inefficiencies to detain persons beyond 48 hours. The 48-hour rule constitutionally guaranteed constitutionally and requires that if the prosecution cannot arraign the person within 48 hours, they must release the person either conditionally or unconditionally on bail.
The law is the law.
The law is the law. And this is the constitution, the supreme law of the land speaking. So if the police cannot present them within the 48 hours, the police must release them. The police cannot hide behind, we could not complete our documentation, and therefore we had to breach the law. That is not allowed. The second thing is that when you look at the whole idea of the arguments made by the state, you need to situate it with what happened.
Right.
Some people were arrested on Sunday. Okay, let's take it that Monday is a holiday, even though in the decision by the court in Martin Pebu number 2 versus Attorney General number 2, court can be called upon to sit on holidays when there is the need to arraign a person so you don't breach the 48 hours.
Right.
The state, through the AG, could have arranged for that. They did not do that. Now, those who were arrested on Sunday, some of them were arrested around 11. Some of them were arrested around 1, 2. What the Attorney General's office did was that in order to inconvenience the people to the highest level they can, they did not bring them to court as early as 9 a.m. They brought them to court around 1 or to 2 p.m. to get as close to the 48 hours as possible that they can. And they brought only the people they arrested on Sunday, leaving those who were arrested on Monday.
Right.
Now, guess what? Those who were arrested on Monday were brought on Tuesday, were brought on Wednesday, so that they could have a longer time in custody for the 48 hours. So if the Attorney General's office now come out to say that it was documentation issues, we cannot accept that. Right. Because you could have arraigned all of them, all the people that were arrested on Sunday and Monday.
Cecily.
You could have arraigned all of them on Monday. You did not do that. You could have arraigned all of them on Tuesday within the 48 hours. You did not do that. You decided to play Russian roulette with their freedoms and brought them on Wednesday, clearly violating the 48-hour rule.
Well, Noah, we've got to wrap up on this conversation, and you've given us a very comprehensive insight into how things have played out so far. In just a minute or so, because I have to truncate this, let us know what the next legal steps are going to be.
Yes, so the next legal step is to repeat the bail applications that were denied before the circuit court. We want to repeat it before the high court. Because as I mentioned earlier, the grounds on which they were denied bail to us are grounds that we think needs to be reconsidered by another court. For someone like Benjamin, I mentioned he was not at the protest grounds, and all the offenses he was charged with are offenses that can only be committed if you were at the protest.
But no, someone might ask, why not appeal that instead of restarting that process?
So it's a matter of time.
Okay.
The appeal process is likely to take a longer time.
Right.
And so in the interest of their rights and the interest of justice, we think the best approach should be to repeat the bail application before the High Court.
Certainly. Noah, thank you so much for that. You've given us some good insights. And of course, we're keeping a keen eye on this story and the developments thereafter. Do have a wonderful Monday, and I'm sure we'll be speaking shortly.
Thank you, too.
Again, that was Ephrame Tetteh Adamtey. He says he's a coordinator for lawyers for some of the arrested anti-Galamsey demonstrators. We'll come back in studio. And again, I've got Edudzi Tamekloe, Director of Legal NDC, in the studio, as well as Ebo Buckman, Senior Communicator, Movement for Change. Gentlemen, good morning to you. How are we doing?
Good morning.
Yeah, good morning. You're doing fine. By the grace of God,
How are you?
It's the last day of September, and my goodness, what a month it has been.
Yeah. It was never ending. Right?
Never ending, and here we are. In fact, over the week, and what a weekend it was. If, like myself, you live on social media, I mean, you are inundated. The steam has not been let up. Are you surprised that the Ghanaian people have been so energetic, keeping the steam on this Galamsey issue? Edudzi?
Not at all. And for me, I'm not really surprised. Yeah. Ellen, look, I wish we would do a road trip from Accra to Sefibodi or Sefibioso. At least we can even end at Wioso. So you can have a personal feel of the conversation.
You say the videos and pictures don't do it justice.
No, not at all.
You have to see it, feel it.
Yes, and you see, when you see it, then you can appreciate the impact of leadership failure. So now look at it this way. This is a major international road because it leads to Ivory Coast. Then, just by the two sides of the road, people are openly engaged in Galamsey. Police officers are passing back, forth, right? And they say nothing, they do nothing. What is that? That's leadership failure. And that is where the crisis had gotten to. Look at it like a known drug lord is openly on the road selling drugs. Then the district police officer passes in front of the person and possibly even does a handshake. How are you doing? That's the scenario. That's where we have got into. Look, in Konongo, just by the roadside, people are doing Galamsey to the point that even the structural integrity of the road is now is completely compromised. Because
eventually they could just be under the road.
Exactly. And the Galamsey site is just by the road. Yeah. Yes. Just by the road. All senior police officers who are traveling to Kumasi are seeing them. All military officers going are seeing them. In fact, Bamia's campaign, the bus they are using to Kumasi, they see them. Ellen, as we speak, we have 40,000 police officers, 13,000 military officers. The commander-in-chief of the Ghana Armed Forces is the president.
That's right.
The chairman of the police council is the vice president, the MPP candidate. What has been their response? Look, what the MPP has decided to do is to contrive a narrative. And the narrative is that in 2020, Akufo-Addo or the MPP lost a lot of parliamentary seats because Akufo-Addo supposedly was fighting Galamsey.
This is 2020.
In 2020.
Okay.
And so it impacted on the MPP in the 2020 election.
You say that is contrived?
Completely. And I'll demonstrate something to you. There are 4 regions in the country where Galamsey is rife. Yes, even though Savannah, they are doing it, Upper East, they are doing it.
According to reports.
Yes, but the 4 main Galamsey regions, Ashanti, Eastern, Western, Central. Yeah. They are the 4 main. It is not that, some parts of Savannah, Upper East, and Upper West. But the 4 main are what? In 2020, Akufo-Addo won presidential in all these 4. So how did it impact on him? In fact, he increased his votes. In 2020, in Ashanti region alone, Akufo-Addo had 1.7 million votes, more than what he got in 2016. So how can anybody tell me that the fight was the reason? True. They say that the parliamentary seats MPP lost in 2020 was as a result of the fight against Galamsey. That's incorrect. And look at the statistics. In Ashanti region alone has 47 parliamentary seats. Now, of these 47, 21 of these constituencies are the endemic Galamsey constituencies. The Odotobri, Obuase enclave, right to Adanse, that enclave.
This is according to who? That these areas are the hotspots?
No, I mean, you know.
That's
Okay.
mining area.
They are the mining endemic areas. Amancia Central, that enclave. Then the Adanse areas into Obuase, Fomina, that enclave. Then you come to Konongo side, Asante Achim enclave. Then you come to what is known as Edujama, Manson Kwanta, Manso Edubia, that enclave. They are about 21. MPP won all.
So you say the arguments that is the fight against Galamsey that had made any impact in the fortunes of the MPP?
It's not true.
If you look at the stats, the figures, it doesn't add
In
up.
fact, the 21 Galamsey constituency, MPP won all. NDC has only 4 seats in Ashanti. New Edubiase, Ejura, Asawase, and Drobonso. That's after Kumewu. The other side. Only 4. Only 4. Eastern region. There's only 1 seat that was MPP seat that we took in 2020. That you can say Galamsey happens or mining. Akwetia 2 in 2020, the MPP parliamentary candidate, who was then the MP, Amase, went independent and split the MPP votes, and we took the seats from MPP. What has that got to do with Galamsey?
Let's talk about some of the other efforts, though, that government has employed, or at least has told us it has employed. Halt 1, Halt 2,
I'm coming.
The drones.
I'm coming.
There's been some fights, Edudzi.
See, the 4th estate had just put out a request made to the ministry, National Security Ministry, and the Ministry of Lands and Natural Resources. They said they can't trace the drones.
These are so I think we spent some $3 million in procuring these
200 drones.
This is to see what's going on in the Galamsey areas.
Yes.
I've cited that report from the 4th estate. They say there's no response as to where those drones have gone. But what about the other? What about the other efforts? Halt 1.
No, I'm coming.
Halt 2.
Operation Galamsey.
We deployed. We got some new uniforms.
Operation
Yes.
Operation this. In fact, I understand one of the operations is Operation Capture Helen.
I haven't cited that one yet. But some efforts, Edudzi, do you concede that some effort? We've mentioned a few of these operations.
I tell you this.
Is it fair to say that no effort has been made?
Which one of these will you put premium on? Effort or result?
Maybe the efforts were made, but
effort or result?
Results.
What is the result now? You send your child to school. The child comes back with a terminal report. That shows that he got, excuse my language, F, D, E, F. And he says, Mommy, I put in a lot of efforts. What would be what you'll be looking for?
The results to show that the effort has borne fruit.
Absolutely. And so, if you are claiming that government had put all these initiatives and the scorecard at the end of the day is the current state of our water bodies, and thankfully, the videos that we're seeing are not the product of political organizations. So, for instance, me, Edudzi, I go and stand in the middle of Ankobra. And I fetch Ankobra and then I bring it to you to broadcast it at the state of Ankobra. Or I do so to the Praso, the Pra River, or Birim, or Bonsu. This one, as we speak, they are being done by your colleague journalists.
That's right.
I have seen Bella Mundi go right there in the Pra River.
That's right.
You can't say that's contrived. That's somebody who is genuinely worried about the issue. Now, you have a situation where key government officials mount the political stage, and in their commentary, what do they say? They say, when you see the likes of Bella Mundi out there projecting the impact of Galamsey on the environment and water bodies, it is the NDC that is behind them. How?
Edudzi, you mentioned scorecard, so hold that thought for me because we also want to talk about the NDC scorecard.
No, I'm coming. There's something I want to draw your attention.
Certainly.
You see, I have always said, when you're a leader, you must live like Caesar's wife. You know Caesar's wife? Cleopatra. And at that time, the rumor was that Cleopatra was having an affair with Mark Antony. The thought of it alone, that Mark Antony could have something to do with Caesar's wife. And so that's where the popular saying that you must live like what? Caesar's wife. That is to say, you must live above what? Reproach.
Don't even give that perception.
Don't give that perception. I'll tell you something.
Edudzi, hold that one for me. Let me come to Mr. Buckman. Now, this one has been making the rounds on social media. A lot of people are actually quite surprised. So, Ghana has issued some 1,696 mining licenses in the past 8 years. And that is a 2,800% increase compared to some 57 licenses since 1995. It's not just about illegal mining. It appears now that the issue of mining itself is one that we have to look at. Are we doing this responsibly? Were you also scandalized by that statistic?
Let me start off by saying that I have visited Western region, Western North, and Central region 2 times this year. So I've been to Western North 2 times, Western region 2 times, Central region 2 times, and Eastern region 2 times. And I can tell you what I saw, as Edudzi said. If you compare what we see on social media with what is actually on the ground, you'll be shocked that as a nation we've sat aloof all these years for such a thing to happen to us. And people want to talk about what they see in terms of the environment. But let me give you a picture. Then you'll get to know how serious this issue that we are dealing with is. You know how some women suffer to take seed? That's right. Some would go to the extent of going to sleep at prayer camps, go to all nights. Then when God has given them the seed, they carry the seed for 9 months. And some of the women, when they get pregnant, it's as if they are mad. Some of them get swollen legs, the behavior.
Hormonal issues.
Since they go through. And so a woman, after going through all this, will give birth to a child that does not look like a human being because of Galamsey.
So I've seen some pictures. You see the children, the leg is not fully formed.
Yeah.
Genitalia is missing. Yeah. Extra fingers, extra limbs. Yes. And I thought these were fabrications, but I've seen it.
These are coming from medical
doctors. Yeah. So
this is the reality.
Yes. That's the picture Ghanaians must be looking at. Not what the politicians are saying. Because the effect of Galamsey is so devastating. And apart from the physical environment, the effect on our health, and none of us is safe. Because if it comes to us through water and food, Accra, how many people produce food in Accra.
There are no farms.
There are no farms. All the water we drink are coming from, because the waters are linked.
So in fact, Ghana Water Company...
You love your salad.
I do.
In the morning, in the evening, after work.
I do. Now, I'm trying to keep fit.
Now you don't know where the cabbage is coming from, the lettuce, the carrot is coming from, what water was used to water it, how much metal is contained in that water, whether it's heavy laden with metal, mercury, and the rest. In
fact, gentlemen, I think it was that release from the Ghana Water Company that got a lot of us to sit up, where they indicated that the turbidity levels at 14,000. Now, check this out. World Health Organization says anything above 4 NTU is unsafe. We have 14,000.
Can you imagine? In fact,
this is like effluent from a factory.
Yeah, and this is what we are talking about. It is not something that, you see, that is why I see those demonstrators as heroes. Oh, yes.
And I know Alan Tremanting shares those sentiments. Over the weekend, he was speaking about, about this issue.
Because if what they are fighting for or fighting against is the picture I just painted to you, then they are heroes indeed. And those who are stopping them are the problems of the state. Because, I mean, just think about it. We are losing our agricultural farmlands. Now agricultural production is going down. Cocoa production is going down. We are dying. People are drinking poison. I mean, when you drink, you know you are drinking poison. Slow poison. Drinking, waiting to die. And this is the situation. I mean, this is what the reality. And so when you hear a politician say that we are not going to stop Galamsey, because when we stop, we are going to lose seats, then we get to know the kind of country we find ourselves in at the moment.
This is what the politicians are saying.
Yes,
have you heard the NDC say that they will allow Galamsey to go on as well? I've heard some commentary.
You see, the recent comment that I heard from a friend. In fact, a friend, we were in school together, secondary school together. We found ourselves in Legon together. He's an MP from Ashanti region. The video is out there.
That's right.
They are not going to stop. Some people have brought foreigners to come and destroy the water so that they will fight Galamsey and lose their seats. And that they're not going to fight Galamsey today, they're going to fight Galamsey tomorrow.
And the reason why I introduced the NDC into this conversation about, MPs and parliamentary candidates talking about Galamsey, who allowed, won't allowed, is because that is where I'm seeing the conversation going. It's very murky. Are you for it or are you against it? Is the political class using this Galamsey as a tool to garner votes? So you're telling us one thing, but when you enter the constituencies, you enter the mining zones, it's a different story.
I was on a program with an MP who is from, NDC MP who is from a mining community. And when the issue of Galamsey came up for discussion, he intentionally didn't answer any of the questions.
He couldn't
because according to him, his people are listening to him. So
which MP is this?
It won't be fair to mention it, but
but since it's a live program, why not?
So I mean,
let me. Maybe but you see, where I stand, if my mom, the woman who carried me 9 months in her womb, right now, I have evidence that she's doing Galamsey. She will take the police station.
It's an MP from Amenfi, is it? Amenfi Central, right? The young man.
Oh no, because the MP
the young man. He's a very young man.
He even lost the primary, so there's a new person.
We won this. If you permit me, we won Kesman show.
Okay.
And he said his people will be listening. So you see, those who have the power. I was telling somebody this morning. I granted an interview. I said, when we vote for politicians, what we do is that we cede our power to them.
That's right.
We become powerless.
Social contract.
They become powerful. So we expect them to use the power we've given them to solve problems. So if we are now getting to a point where the citizens themselves are being forced to go out there and fight for themselves, then why did we vote in the first place? And you see, in Akan, we have an adage. We say if you see tadpoles dancing on the surface of the water, the frogs that play the drums are beneath the water. In other words, those who are inducing the dance, you can't see them, but you see only those on the surface of the water.
It's like the usual play. You see people on the stage acting, blah blah blah. The people, real people, are the people behind
the scenes.
Yes,
stage.
that is exactly what is happening. The reason why this Galamsey thing is not dying is that the politicians are themselves, they are the ones who are doing the Galamsey. As for the young men, they are victims of circumstances. Because of the fact that we don't have jobs.
So these are not the people that we are looking for. They didn't acquire the excavators. They can acquire the pump action guns, the changfangs. They are doing the work. But those who actually are handling the puppet strings, they are the ones that we need to be looking for.
The politicians themselves.
Now, Mr. Buckman, bear with me just now so we can play this video very quickly in line with our conversation. Over the weekend, the GJA Awards took center stage, and it was quite the event. The GJA president had some, if you ask me, scathing words for the president, who was right there in the auditorium. Let's take a listen to that, and then I'll come back and pick your thoughts, because it appears that the people of Ghana are taking the fight to the president. The president said, I am prepared to put my presidency on the line. Well, a number of you say you're not seeing that in action. The president isn't showing working. Let's take a look at this. When we come back, we'll speak some more about that.
Citizens of this country, we note some excesses and provocations that occurred during the demonstration, and the GJA condemned these excesses in no uncertain terms. However, we also believe that remanding the protesters for 2 weeks is too extreme and does not send positive signals when it comes to protecting human rights. And does not send positive signals when it comes to protecting human rights. Our Constitution mandates us to protect the human rights of citizens in this country. And as the president, I'll lead that charge. As a result, we add our voice to calls on the government, police, and the judiciary to take steps to release the protesters immediately.
And the auditorium erupted in cheers. I'm told that there was a standing ovation.
No, did you see
the
president?
Lawyer, did you let me come in?
No, did you see? No, I am interested. After the man finished this, and he went and sat by the president.
Yes. In fact, can we have that video? For those of you who are watching us on Facebook, let's roll that video. There's no audio, but the body language tells it all. Some people said they could read the president's lips. Listen, I wasn't there. They said that maybe the president... Edudzi, is that what he said? Is that what he said? We'll play that video, and then you can be the judge of the reaction. So, Buckman, I'm coming back to you. So this is one of the events that got a lot of tongues wagging. Again, that was the GJA president, Albert Kwabena Jumfor. He called for the release of the Stop Galamsey Now protesters, stating that their detention infringes on their human rights. Leader for Movement for Change, Alan Tremanting, echoed those sentiments. I've seen him on social media also calling for the release of these young protesters.
That is what has to be done. I mean, what have they done wrong? If what they are fighting for or fighting against is what you've talked about this morning, then what wrong have they committed? What wrong have they committed to the extent that you apart from putting them behind bars, you deny them access to, I mean, legal, whatever, support, food, family visit and all that? What have they committed? What sins have they committed? So the point is that if we are going to be serious about this issue, then we should tell politicians as it is. The politicians, our situation in terms of Galamsey, in terms of even the whole economy, in terms of corruption, it's never been lost on us, Edudzi, that our situation has only gotten worse, from bad to worse in the last 10 years. I mean, let's be honest. And so whatever we are going through is a accumulation of things that we ignored
And we are now seeing it.
Yes.
Crescendo in this manner.
That is what is happening. That is why we are finding it difficult. Yes, you said it. I've also heard and seen some videos that one NDC supporter was saying that do it when we come.
I saw him in the bush somewhere. Lawyer Edudzi, please speak to us.
See, we should be. I'm happy he said even if his mother engages in things like that, he will say it as it is. Where we've gotten to, we should be more mindful about the safety of this country than political parties winning power, and that is where we've gotten to, Edudzi.
Speak to us about this issue. I'm on social media. Young people want to know what is the stance of the NDC as far as Galamsey is concerned. They want to hear it clear, concise, succinct, without the usual political wrappings, shall I say.
Let me tell you this. Galamsey should not be tolerated under no circumstance. It's even worse if it's on our water bodies. But you see, there's something I don't want us to permit or allow. It confuses the issue. You see, in this house, and I want young people listening to me, in this house, there's a head of house.
That's
correct.
Right. Correct.
In the organization called Media General, there's a head, a CEO.
Correct.
Okay. So if you consistently conduct yourself in a particular manner and the CEO doesn't say anything, tomorrow when there's an issue, will she be permitted to say she's not aware? The accounts put it this way. You say, opinia, otinefie. Emma, yefa sikan edwa nankano. Your friend nanka refua oyeden okahubi. Because you see, you are the head. Let me tell you, in the next 100 years, only 25 people can become president of Ghana out of 32 million people. So the responsibility placed on such a person is huge. In fact, if the president even does 8 years, the 25 people reduces in the next 100 years.
It could be more, depending on whether the president will be able to go through the whole term.
Yes, but the point I'm making is that if they are doing 4 years, only 25 people can become president in the next 25 years. In the next
so that number
years.
Can be halved if, say, they do 8 years, 8 years. Makes sense.
So it tells you how unique. Now it becomes even more worrying. If the person who is the president says, I've put my presidency, what?
On the line. Well, he said, I am prepared. Those of you engaged in semantics have come back to us many times saying that I am prepared.
So
I am willing. It may well
be that he never did. Beautiful. I think you have put matters in proper perspective. Look, I'll tell you something. You see, when the president and his close associates and confidants behave in a particular manner, it sends a wrong message across. Look, there's a company called Elite Minerals Company Limited.
Is this who Honorable Kujito Ablakwa has been, providing some intel information about?
Yes. Now, Ellen, look at it this way. You have a company called Elite Minerals Company Limited. This Elite Minerals, right, has 2 directors, Awo Mensah and Alvin Mensah.
Right.
Okay. The secretary of the company is Alvin. The 2 are the directors. March 2024, they are given a concession to mine in the Kwabi Forest Reserve. In the Kwabi Forest Reserve. Eastern region here. That's Akufado's hometown.
That's right. That's my hometown.
Oh, really?
Mm-hmm.
So you are from the north or the south? Kukrantumi side or?
Don't worry.
Okay. Now I'm getting worried. I'm puffy. Yes.
Anyway, let's stick on the path. Let's stick to this path.
Now you know what? You have to be a citizen and go and arrest people.
That is what you are being told to do now.
Now, but you see, even on a more serious note, then it turned out that our Mensa, listen carefully, our Mensa and Edwina Akufo-Addo are the two directors of Isiomunam restaurant.
Okay.
Not only that, if you recall, the ambulance contracts, it went to a gentleman called Stephen Okoro. Stephen, has a daughter with the president's daughter. That's the president's granddaughter. Now, the business partner of Stephen Okoro is this same Alvin Mensah.
So when you connect the dots, Edudzi, what are you telling us? What are you telling us?
The president's daughters and their business associates, when you have a situation where they are involved in these mining activities, it becomes extremely difficult to take any action that will be detrimental to their business activities. You see, let me tell you, there's a reason why people always fight against nepotism and cronyism. Do you know why?
Why?
They are very powerful things that work on your mind. You may deny its existence, but they are so impactful. So, for instance, you here, if it turns out that your daughter, your mom, or dad is directly involved in an activity that you are the regulator, you pretend that you don't know what is happening.
No, Edudzi, I'll be like you. You say if your mom is involved in Galamsey, your innate core principles will not allow you at all.
No, but you see, it is because it is me. Their fathers and their daughters who the relationship is so tight. Fathers and daughters relationship, don't joke with it. More importantly, daughters who basically grew up with their father only. The bond is even more stronger. The point I am making is this. When you have a situation where key government officials, listen, there's a video, I wish you play it, where the Western Regional Minister, Kobe Dako, Takrade MP, together with the MPP parliamentary candidates for Wassa East.
This is that infamous video where they say we've stopped Galam stop. If you go into the field or you go to the mining site,
now, do you know something?
The military come, you match them boot for boot.
Do you know something?
Tell me.
The regional minister is the chairman of RECSEC.
That's right.
He coordinates security activities within his geographical region or administrative region. Now he's the one meeting the Galamseyers and telling them that we have stopped what you referred.
Halt 1, halt 2.
You see, I
stop.
kept this one for last because you were telling me about what efforts. These are the efforts that the regional minister right in front of him, they were saying this.
So did you say all of this is an exercise
in futility?
Let me come to Mr. Buckman quickly, and then we wrap up on this.
Yeah, we will wrap. And that is why I believe that those young people who took to the streets to draw our attention to the existential threat of Galamsey should be placed on a higher pedestal than Akufo-Addo.
They had counterback.
Ironically. But you see, they have cemented their place in the sands of time. Look, I say this, and I mean nowhere. Look, the judge or whoever placed that 2 weeks remand on them will go down. History will not be favorable to them.
Lawyer Edudzi, these are some strong words.
No, very strong words.
You not go to court today, you go to court today.
Look, I am saying that they have played themselves below the protesters. Look, every lawyer knows that all the 7 counts, if you look at the charge sheet, are all billable offenses.
That's right. I mean, is it only just treason? That's not a bailable offense, and even
I say
that.
they are all bailable offenses. First of all, these people have already spent 48 hours or more.
So some had an extra 10 hours extra.
Look, no, I am saying that 48 hours of detention is enough punishment. What happened in those courts was to punish those protesters even before their guilt is established.
To quell the fire of dissenting voices. That is what we're seeing.
And terribly it was done. Look, I saw the CNN reporter for Africa, something in Larry. And I say once again, we have gotten another dubious distinction.
Edudzi, let me come to Mr. Buckman.
I am appalled. Look,
final thoughts on this.
It's so disgusting.
And then we wrap up on this conversation.
I think that the Attorney General, please let me use your platform. The Attorney General, being the public defender, number one public defender, should show by his body language.
He's the Minister for Justice for all of us.
Injustice.
Right? Mr. Buckman, let me come to your final thoughts on this and then we wrap up.
The Attorney General should go and file a nolle prosequi immediately.
He's advancing with this.
He should go and file a nolle. And curiously, at the time when these protesters were being manhandled in Accra, he was with the president at the UN in New York, enjoying stick.
In fact, some Ghanaian protesters
look, they were enjoying stick in New York.
Which one? No, Mr. Buckman, please, your final thoughts. If I allow Edudzi today, will be a long one.
For me, enough of what has been. What is important for us is how do we solve the problem? As I said, the political class have so far failed us in this regard. And so the argument should center on the way forward more.
That's right.
Yeah, so what Mr. Lanchamanton has put forward is, for me, the way to go. I mean, he's come up with a 10-point plan as to how we can end Galamsey. And for him to be boldly say that in the first 1 year, if God permits and he becomes president, the first 1 year is going to ban small-scale mining, complete ban on small-scale mining for the first year, which is very important because there seems to be some chaos in that sector, the small-scale mining sector, because what happens is that there are people who don't have license in mining. That is Galamsey.
That's right.
But there are people who have licenses, and also what they are doing is even worse than what the Galamseys are doing.
So we need to even really look at the mining space in of itself.
Yes. So that 1 year ban is very important. Within 1 year, we need to restore our water body.
Is that enough time? Or can we make some progress if we do that?
You have technologies that can fast track. So within 1 year, it's a process. So we start it within 1 year. We restore water body, restore our farmlands with afforestation or planting of trees and all that.
You like
from what I've seen, no more. Mr. Buckman, please continue for us.
let me make my point.
Women using alum to settle the water, and that alone.
Because even Ghana water, all they can do for us to distill, they can't take out that mercury, that cyanide.
No, the heavy metal.
The heavy metals.
Okay, so the point I'm making is that within 1 year, we conduct proper audit of the activities of the small-scale mining. In fact, according to Mr. Lanchamanton, we need to cancel all the licenses that have been small-scale mining licenses that have been given in the last 15 years. Yes, cancellation, so that we'll do proper audit.
You'll be faced with a lot of opposition.
But that is how we can solve the problem. I gave you a picture. Would you want a situation where in future we'll have to import water?
Absolutely not.
No, so you need to bite the bullet at this time to solve the problem.
So we need decisive, bold leadership.
Yes. And also, you see, I've always said that, and Mr. Lanchamanton has said it, it's part of the 10 point, that, you see, when people don't have job to do, they will find job to do.
That's right.
And so, most of these Galamseyers who are being sponsored by the big men that I describe the victims of circumstances, they are doing Galamsey because they don't have the means to do proper mining. So there has to be transition. We need to transition them from illegal mining to
because it's also a dangerous job.
Yeah. I would want Ghanaians to look out for the 10-point solution Mr. Alanche Martin has proposed.
And this can be found in the GTP, the Great Transformational
Plan. Yes.
Plan. In fact, that was the first manifesto to come out ahead of the NDC and ahead of
he knows it.
Of the NPP.
He has gone through it. He knows it's the best we can have as a country. For some of the NDC people are even saying that should they win, they will depend heavily on
gentlemen, I need to wrap up on this conversation. Mr. Buckman, why did you invite Edudzi now?
We do not want to be Kweku Anansi. You know Kweku Anansi.
Come on.
Kweku Anansi pretends to know everything. We don't. So once we get the benefit of power, we'll extract some useful information.
So some collaboration could happen.
We are proposing a government of national unity.
Alan is
that is what we are proposing. That is the way forward.
Alan is a statesman. He's carried himself with significant dignity. So why not?
And Haruna Iddrisu has come out to say that the winner takes all system.
I was just about to say the Alanites movement for change say that is what happens. One party gets into power and has control of all of the opportunities, all of the resources. That is what we're practicing in Ghana.
And that is why they don't want to leave power.
Because once you go, you are shut out of opportunities.
I'm using your esteemed platform.
The back end said today you spoke 65% of the time. That's the intel I'm getting from the back end. And that I must disconnect. But gentlemen, a part 2 is necessary. I wanted to comment on Edudzi shared, but if I do that, that's another 6 minutes. And
no.
I have to continue. Gentlemen, thank you so much for your time this morning.
The beautiful umbrella.
You were fighting the 8. You were fighting when the 8 came. You didn't want that one.
It's not funny.
Quickly,
the one promoting the 8 is now fighting the 8. That now fighting the one fighting the 8 is now promoting it.
Hold on.
Interesting.
All right, lawyer Edudzi Tamekloe, director of legal of the NDC, and also Mr. Ebo Buckman, senior communicator, Movement for Change. Always a pleasure. So many other themes that we can get into. We'll shelve that for a separate day. But thank you so much for your time this morning. Have a wonderful Monday, gentlemen.